Ina has been acting since Jeff Makubu died of COVID-19 related complications last month. That's July. Let's speak now to the DA's caucus leader in Johannesburg, the city of gold, Leah Knott. Ms. Knott, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday View on eNCA. How long should it take after a mayor has died for a new one to be chosen in terms of the existing processes and protocols?
Well, just to clarify, first of all, there is no acting mayor. Johannesburg didn't have a deputy mayor position when the mayor passed away. On his passing, the mayoral cabinet dissolved automatically. And in essence, there is no executive in Johannesburg. The city manager is put in charge, and there are no political heads either in the cabinet or at the helm of the city in the mayor's position.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. It's appreciated. So how long should it take for because Jeff Makubu died, and I understand then after that the council, as you said, was dissolved. I mean the cabinet, the executive cabinet of the city was dissolved. So there's no executive authority at the moment. How long should it take?
Well, in essence, and this is where we find a gap in our legislation, when you elect a local government, the council should sit within 14 days in order to elect a mayor. But where the office is vacated for whatever reason, then it says it must be filled when necessary. Now, we saw in 2019, council sat within 7 days. Now, all of a sudden, despite the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic and despite the fact that we were experiencing rioting and looting and we really needed some leadership in Johannesburg, it's taken almost a month to convene a council meeting.
When is it taking place?
Well, I don't know. We hear from the media. I think there's a distinctive breakdown in communication from the legislature at the moment. They won't respond to any of our requests for clarity on this. We heard from the media that there was going to be a meeting this Friday. Now I hear from an interview with the Speaker's office that it's probably next week. So I don't actually know. No formal notification has gone out to any of the councillors. We wrote this morning to the MEC actually to provide us with some clarity and perhaps put pressure in that respect.
Is that the MEC for local government?
Yes, Cocktail, Lebogang Maile in province.
And has he responded?
Not as yet, but we did just send it today, so we'll give him a few hours to respond. We did ask him, it is quite urgent. From our perspective, this all boils down to the factional battles within the ANC and the fact that they didn't have a succession plan. In 2019, they were able to approve a candidate within less than a week, and now they are sending out letters left, right, and centre, and we've seen some of these press releases where they've blatantly stated that, they need to calm down the disruptions internally, and people need to support the candidates that's been chosen, despite the fact that they may not have wanted them. So it's very evident that this is where the delay is coming from.
Yeah, and I'm sure as a DA you'll also be concerned because the local government elections now may not take place in October, and the longer there's that kind of a top executive leadership vacuum in a city like Johannesburg, doesn't bode well for services, does it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, your councillors, and there's 270 councillors in Johannesburg, they perform the role of oversight. The executive is responsible for service delivery. Now, we work very, very similar to Parliament, where MPs will ask questions to the ministers and get responses. We don't have that available at the moment, so we're unable to perform oversight. We can't get responses from political heads and the executive because it doesn't exist. And we're being pushed from pillar to post, trying to understand why City Power at the beginning of a financial year doesn't have stock or materials, and why areas have gone 2 weeks without power in certain places. I mean, the south of Joburg are sitting on 5 days. JRA can't fill potholes because the asphalt plant hasn't opened. And this all boils down to, councils being unable to get answers in respect to what's going on.
Yeah, so the matter for you as a DA has become very urgent. As we speak, we reported, and there was a strap at the bottom of the screen now from our newsroom team here saying there is an acting mayor. But from what you've told us now, there is no acting mayor, there is no acting executive. There's a huge hole in that executive suite of the city of Johannesburg, and this matter has become urgent for you as the DA. Besides writing to Lebogang Maile, which is like a pressure, is there anything else you as a DA and other parties can do to make sure that the late Jeff Makubo's replacement is put in place ASAP?
Well, as I said, there's a very big gap in our legislation in terms of that without putting timeframes to it. But I think in terms of where we have executive mayors in major metropolitans, they assumed that a deputy mayor would have been put in place. And if that had been the case, the deputy mayor would have assumed the office temporarily during this time. But we didn't have that office within Johannesburg. So we have taken it up both at province, but we've also taken it up with our colleagues at national government, and our leader, John Steenhuisen, as well as one of our MPs, Celia's Brink, have also come in to basically assist us with advice on that. So we will take it all the way up to national if we have to, but I'm quite confident that we can rely on province to put some pressure in that respect. We cannot continue the way we can, as much as the acting city manager is trying his best. He's one person, and we have various departments, over 12 entities in the city, and 270 councillors that require responses on an almost constant basis. And, if we look at where we are with the pandemic, you've got people who are on oxygen, and if there's no electricity in areas which haven't had for 2 weeks or a week, they can't power those oxygen tanks for longer than 4 hours. So I would say it is a life and death situation, because there are so many things going on in Joburg, and the residents really need a leader at the helm of the city to guide them further and be able to account for services.
Okay, thank you very much, Leah Knott, for clarifying that. The DA, we're going to have to follow up as well ourselves with Lebogang Maile, because I was not aware that there's no acting mayor. I always assumed there will be one after Jeff Makubo died. Can't leave such a big gap. I mean, that's the DA's Leah Knott. She's a caucus leader for that opposition party here in Johannesburg. The Johannesburg Metro does not have a sitting executive at the moment since the untimely death due to COVID-19 of a previous elected mayor, Jeff Makubo. So what next? Lebogang Maile, they are knocking on your door to provide answers. I think we're going to have to follow up as well. You can't have such a big metro, the city of gold, the capital of the economic hub of the Republic of South Africa, with no executive mayor.